Coming up on Retiring Well with Michael Reese.
Lack of transparency, don't know the price you buy and sell at, and taxes not very tax efficient. Often does that advisor really talk to you about adjusting your mix depending on market environments?
It's ironic that a lot of people we talk to, when we ask them how much they're paying, they have no clue.
Retiring Well with Michael Reese, helping you make smart decisions with your money so you can live a better life. Today is the day you can take back control of your money. Retiring Well with Michael Reese, where we believe your best is yet to come.
Welcome to Retiring Well. I'm your host, Michael Reese, and we've got a great show for you this week. We are talking about mutual funds, and we're going to hit on 3 reasons why you may not want to have mutual funds in your portfolio. Maybe 3 reasons we don't like them, maybe as much as some other tools. Now, again, when I say that, please understand, we're not going to try to tell you that there's some tool that is always good or always bad. But it is important that you understand that while mutual funds have been really terrific tools in the past, today technology is helping us get even better tools to help you achieve your retirement goals. You need to know about them. So in order to help you understand how all this works, I just want to share a little story with you. So I want you to think back to in your past a little while. And remember, I don't know if you know this, but when were mutual funds invented? Well, the answer is, I think the first mutual fund, I want to call it the Massachusetts Investment Company, all the way back in like 1924. So mutual funds have been around a long time. And what I want you to think about is your telephone. Now, telephones have been around a long time too, haven't they? I mean, I don't know when Alexander Graham Bell did, the first phone call and all that kind of stuff. I don't know the date, but I know it's been a while. And maybe you're like me, all right? Maybe you're like me. I remember when I was a kid how telephones worked, right? Now think about this. I remember when the phone rang, way back when, the first thing is you had to listen for your ring, because remember, we were on party lines. Remember those? And then the big day was, oh, wow, we got our first telephone line. It's just ours. And even when I was a kid in the 80s or 70s and 80s, I remember we had the one phone in the kitchen. It had the really long cord that could stretch halfway across the house. I mean, you know how it was. I remember if my sister was on the phone, I couldn't get on the phone. I mean, you know how all that works. You remember those days. Remember how phones they had like a dial? Remember that? Remember how you have to actually dial a phone? Well, now, what do phones look like today? Well, I think I've got one in my pocket. Phones today, gosh, they look like this, right? This is an iPhone. That's right here. That's what a phone is today. We all have these things. My kids have these things. I've got a daughter who's 11. She's getting ready to go into junior high. She's got one of these things. We all have our own phones. Do you know that there's more computing power in this thing, just this little thing, than what NASA had available when they put their first man on the moon? Right? I mean, so more power here than NASA put a man on a moon with less computing power than what's in this. I mean, that's pretty amazing. But my point is this. Phones have changed, haven't they? Technology, I mean, we have gone from this big old bulky rotary phone, right, to remember, then we had the touch tone phones, and then we had, remember the first cell phones, they had these big bags, and you'd plug them in the car, and now we've got this. Well, guess what? Technology, it doesn't just affect phones. It affects everything, including investments. But here's something interesting for you. To what degree have mutual funds changed since they started back in 1924? Gosh, our phone has changed remarkably over just the past 20 years. Right? iPhones weren't even around 20 years ago. Our phones have changed dramatically. What about mutual funds? How have they changed? Well, the answer is they haven't really changed at all. with one difference. The very first mutual fund was a balanced fund. It basically invested in stocks, bonds, everything. It was a balanced approach. Today, mutual funds focus on different areas, but guess what? They're basically the same thing that they were when they started. They're the same darn thing. So you need to think about that with your portfolio. If you have a portfolio that's comprised of basically mutual funds, it's like you've got a house full of phones that have dials on them and long extension cords. There might be a better way to accomplish your objectives. And throughout the rest of the show, we're going to talk about that. So don't go away. We're going to be right back.
Will your retirement vision be your retirement reality? Centennial Wealth Advisory invites you to an eye-opening and exciting event packed with up-to-date, valuable, and important information. Join us for a free presentation with complimentary gourmet dinner and find out what you're missing on these vital topics. What is the suitability versus fiduciary standard of care in the financial services industry? What are the biggest tax traps? What are the hidden costs in mutual funds? Why is getting a second opinion the most important financial decision of your life? And much more. Choose the date and location that works best for you. Tuesday, September 12th at Boone's Long Lake Inn in Traverse City, or Tuesday, September 19th at the Boyne Mountain Resort in Boyne Falls. Presentations start at 6 p.m. and are free to attend with a complimentary gourmet dinner to follow. But seating is limited and fills quickly. Call 888-608-5825 or visit sen-wealth.com to reserve your seats today. There is no cost and no obligation. Don't miss this important presentation, making your retirement vision a reality. Call 888-608-5825 today.
Hi, I'm sitting here with Larry Flynn. Thanks for being here, Larry.
Thank you, Mike.
He's one of the advisors at Centennial Wealth Advisory. And folks, as you may know by now, we certainly invite you to come visit with us. It's absolutely free to get a second opinion on your retirement planning. And I think it's important to get a second opinion from someone who's a specialist when it comes to retirement planning. And Larry, I'm sure they're wondering, if they pick up the phone and they call and come visit with you, what can they expect? What's that experience like?
Well, Mike, they can expect not to get hard sold, okay? We're going to greet them warmly. We're going to sit down and talk to them a little bit about maybe their story, where they're from, where they grew up, how they met their spouse, what they're dreaming of doing once they get soon to be retired or retired.
Kind of what are their goals, right?
Yeah, what are your goals? We're going to talk to them a little bit about who we are, what we do, show them how we do things, especially dealing in the market realities we find ourselves in today.
Got it. So essentially, they're coming in, you're learning a little bit about what's important to them, what their goals are, what they're trying to accomplish. I'm sure you're taking a look at what they're doing so far. You maybe share a little bit about you, and it's just in a very relaxed atmosphere.
That's right.
And there's no cost to do this. Is that correct?
No cost. No cost.
All right. So, folks, there you go. I mean, it sounds very simple, very easy, very laid back. There's no reason for you not to just pick up the phone, call the number on the screen, come visit us, get that second opinion. You'd be glad that you did. All right, this week in Chalk Talk, we were talking about the 3 reasons that we're not big fans of mutual funds. Now, again, it's not that mutual funds are always bad, but there are certainly some general things about mutual funds that we don't like. And we've got them up here on the board. I'm going to hit them one by one. First and foremost is transparency. And here's what I mean. Whenever you put money into a mutual fund, okay, there's 2 things that you never know, all right? Number 1, the first thing you don't know exactly what you own. It is not transparent. You don't know really what you own at any point in time. You know approximately what you own, but you don't know exactly what positions you own. Now, the second item to do with transparency is expenses. You never know with a mutual fund exactly what you're paying them. Because with a mutual fund, there are two types of expenses. There are the expenses that you see, and those are listed out in the prospectus. But there's also the expenses that you don't see. And usually those expenses have to do with the ongoing trading that's happening within that mutual fund throughout the year. So what we have here is when you're putting money into a fund, it's kind of like a trust me approach. And that means, yeah, just trust me that I'm buying the right things, that we're keeping the expenses to a minimum. And unfortunately, what we find is that all too often, I'll just put it that way, all too often these fund managers, well, they don't really care a lot about the expenses. And I mean, it's not something that they're really focused on, if you will. Okay, number 2 item that we don't really like about mutual funds, and that is that mutual funds, you never know exactly, you don't know the price that you're investing, the price you're buying the fund at, and you don't know the price that you're selling it at. I mean, think about this for a minute, right? Imagine for the moment that you wanted to buy IBM stock. And you said, I want to buy IBM stock at $100 a share. So you send in an order to buy IBM at $100 a share. Well, what price are you going to buy IBM at? Yeah, $100 a share. You know that. Or let's go it the other way. What if you want to sell IBM? And you say, I want to sell at $100 a share. It doesn't get sold until it's $100 a share. So you know exactly the price you're buying at. You know exactly the price you're selling at. Not with a mutual fund. Because the way mutual funds work is they are priced at the end of the day. So what that means is you say, I'm going to invest in ABC Mutual Fund. And you call up your advisor or your broker, and it's, I don't know, 1 in the afternoon or 10 in the morning, and you say, invest this much money in that fund. Well, what price are you buying those fund shares at? You have no idea. It's whatever it is at the end of the day. And the same comes true if you want to sell it. Hey, sell X number of dollars of that fund. What price are you selling at? Who knows? Whatever it's worth at the end of the day. Not the most efficient way of doing business. All right, let's go into number 3, taxes. Now, if you have your money in an IRA or a 401k, something like that, then this is not a factor. But a lot of people have money in after-tax accounts. You've already paid your taxes and you're just investing the money. Maybe you sold a house or property, maybe you've inherited money, whatever. You've got money in after-tax accounts. Well, generally speaking, mutual funds are not very tax efficient. And what that means is they're spinning off taxes every year, whether you're reinvesting, using the money, whatever. But here's where it gets really crazy. I remember back in 2008, people would have mutual funds and they would call us and say, what's going on? I lost 40% of my money and I'm getting a 1099 saying that I got to pay tax on gains. How am I paying taxes on gains when I lose 40% of my money? Well, that's just how it works with mutual funds sometimes. So there you go. There's 3 reasons we're not super big fans. Lack of transparency, don't know the price you buy and sell at, and taxes, not very tax efficient. So at least that gives you a bit of a start. Don't go anywhere. We're going to be right back.
Will your retirement vision be your retirement reality? Centennial Wealth Advisory invites you to an eye-opening and exciting event packed with up-to-date, valuable, and important information. Join us for a free presentation with complimentary gourmet dinner and find out what you're missing on these vital topics. What is the suitability versus fiduciary standard of care in the financial services industry? What are the biggest tax traps? What are the hidden costs in mutual funds? Why is getting a second opinion the most important financial decision of your life? And much more. Choose the date and location that works best for you. Tuesday, September 12th at Boone's Long Lake Inn in Traverse City, or Tuesday, September 19th at the Boyne Mountain Resort in Boyne Falls. Presentations start at 6 p.m. and are free to attend with a complimentary gourmet dinner to follow. But seating is limited and fills quickly. Call 888-608-5825 or visit sen-wealth.com to reserve your seats today. There is no cost and no obligation. Don't miss this important presentation, making your retirement vision a reality. Call 888-608-5825 today.
Centennial Wealth Advisory, your independent retirement planning specialists, now in 3 convenient locations in northern Michigan. 818 Red Drive in Traverse City, 3890 Charlevoix Avenue in Petoskey, and 3687 Old 27th South in Gaylord. Contact us at 888-608-5825 or visit sen-wealth.com to schedule your no-obligation complete retirement review at any of our northern Michigan locations, Traverse City, Petoskey, or Gaylord. Centennial Wealth Advisory. Your best is yet to come.
Welcome back. This week we're talking about mutual funds and how they're kind of older types of tools, just like earlier we compared them to older types of phones, etc. And again, though, I do want to stress to you, remember, we're not trying to tell you today that mutual funds are always bad. That's not the message I want to get out there. What I do want to get out there, however, is that you need to understand that there are a lot of tools that are not mutual fund structured, structured as maybe an exchange-traded fund or a separately managed account that may do a better job in addressing your needs in today's world. Just like a cell phone helps you better address your needs than the old-fashioned, corded phone. So what I want to do today, or in this segment, is I want to talk a little bit about this concept of passive management and active management, and I want you to think about your portfolio. Okay, I want you to think about your money. And I want you to really think about that if you were to open up your investment statement, what's listed on that statement? Do you own basically a listing of mutual funds and that's about it? Because if you do, you might be, well, it's not might, almost certainly is a better way to say it. You're almost certainly in a position where you can improve your portfolio dramatically. Because again, you're just using a lot of old tools. You're not using some of the newer tools that are available. But what I really want to get to is this. If you're in a 401k or something like that, you might not have really any choices because 401ks, all they do is they give you that menu, that listing of funds, and you're kind of picking and choosing from what they offer, and that's all you've got to work with. Now, the good news is if you're at least at the age of 59 and a half and you're still working, you may be able to move that to your own IRA. It's called an in-service rollover, and you can always call us. We can help you with that, but you can go from 401k to IRA, and you can then utilize all these new tools that are available. But what if you can't? Well, then you're kind of stuck. But I'm not talking about a 401k here. I want you to think about this. Do you work with a financial advisor, right? Maybe you have, someone in a brokerage house or something like that. You've gone to a financial advisor. They're helping you with after-tax money or IRAs or what have you. And when you open up your statement, what do you see? Here's a list of mutual funds again. And hey, let's be honest. You have this advisor. How often does that advisor really talk to you about adjusting your mix depending on market environments? Or does your advisor pretty much say, no, we've got this asset allocation set up. We need to, all we're going to do is we're going to rebalance on a regular basis. So this is a problem if that's what they say. So if you open up your statement, all you have are mutual funds, and the idea is we've set up an asset allocation and we're just going to rebalance on a regular basis. Well, think about what you're doing. Think about what you're doing there. You're basically saying you're going to hold the same portfolio no matter what the markets do. So if the markets are going well, you're going to have one portfolio. And if the markets are going poorly, we're going to have the same portfolio. Now let's think about that for a minute. does that really make sense to you? Because guess what? In the past few years, it's gone real well, maybe. You made a lot of money. But what happened in 08? Did you lose a lot of money? All the time, what do advisors say? They say, we're going to help you change the portfolio when markets go bad. You hear that all the time, right? But do they? Do they really make those changes when the markets go south? If you're really honest with yourself, they don't. They make changes after the market went south, right, is what they do. They tend to just be buy and hold. They don't tend to be actively watching out for your best interests. Now, if you're sitting there and basically, here's our portfolio, it's a bunch of mutual funds, and you haven't seen a lot of changes in recent experience, that's a red flag, folks. And you need to pick up the phone and give us a shout, because it would be a great time. Today is a great time to just double check what you're doing and make sure that you're in good shape.
Will your retirement vision be your retirement reality? Centennial Wealth Advisory invites you to an eye-opening and exciting event packed with up-to-date, valuable, and important information. Join us for a free presentation with complimentary gourmet dinner and find out what you're missing on these vital topics. What is the suitability versus fiduciary standard of care in the financial services industry? What are the biggest tax traps? What are the hidden costs in mutual funds? Why is getting a second opinion the most important financial decision of your life? And much more. Choose the date and location that works best for you. Tuesday, September 12th at Boone's Long Lake Inn in Traverse City, or Tuesday, September 19th at the Boyne Mountain Resort in Boyne Falls. Presentations start at 6 p.m. and are free to attend with a complimentary gourmet dinner to follow. But seating is limited and fills quickly. Call 888-608-5825 or visit sen-wealth.com to reserve your seats today. There is no cost and no obligation. Don't miss this important presentation, making your retirement vision a reality. Call 888-608-5825 today.
Your grandchildren are precious to you. They are your life. This is your time to have that special relationship. Taking care of yourself is taking care of them. Centennial Wealth Advisory is offering a free, no-obligation retirement review to make sure you don't run out of money during your retirement. Centennial Wealth Advisory. Your best is yet to come.
All right, I'm here with Larry Flynn, a financial advisor at Centennial Wealth Advisory. And Larry, thanks for being here. We really appreciate it.
Thank you, Mike.
And folks, as you know, this week we've been talking about mutual funds and some of the hidden reasons we don't like them, and how it's not the only tool out there and all that kind of stuff. And I know that you've had some experience talking to folks who are, maybe they've had a mutual fund portfolio or even, other types of portfolios with things like hidden fees, et cetera. Yeah, can you maybe expand on that, Larry?
Yeah, Mike, we have the ability to take any portfolio, especially one of mutual funds, and actually do a fee analysis.
Where you actually dive in and you find out what the fees are.
Yeah, actually find out what they're paying. It's ironic that a lot of people we talk to, when we ask them how much they're paying, they have no clue.
Well, it's not on the statements, right?
That's right.
So do you have like anybody you've spoken to recently maybe where that was the case, and then maybe you were able to find them? Because I want the viewers to get a feel for what, maybe they're in that, maybe you folks at home are at that position, right? Maybe they're in a position where they don't know what they're paying. So sure. Can you give us an example, I guess?
Well, I had a couple, and I was talking with them, and I said, do you know how much you're paying in fees? And they swore that all that they were paying in fees was 1%, because that's what the advisor told them that he was charging them. Okay.
1%.
1%.
How much money did they have?
It was probably between $500,000 and $600,000.
Okay, so they thought they were paying $6,000 a year, I guess that comes down to. Okay.
And they were actually okay with that.
Sure.
The problem was they had a portfolio that was predominantly mutual funds.
Oh, okay.
Okay, so they're thinking they're only paying 1%. So, I just politely, inform them that, do you know that the mutual funds are also charging you?
Yeah, because it doesn't show up. So they saw the 1% that their advisor was charging them, but they didn't see the part that their mutual funds was charging.
That's right.
Okay, so what did that work out to be?
Well, we did the fee analysis, right? And we found that out of this whole portfolio of all the mutual funds they had,
Right.
they were paying on average about 1.25%
On the funds?
on the funds themselves.
So they were paying then the advisor 1% plus the mutual funds another 1.25%?
Yes, mutual funds have what they call an expense ratio.
Right.
It's their general, administrative, and research costs to run that fund. And they publish that actually in the prospectus. So
Right.
it's pretty easy to get that information,
Yeah.
right? What they also don't realize, though, is that all these mutual funds have turnovers, okay? They own thousands of securities that they're buying and selling behind the scenes.
throughout the year.
That's right. Well, what they don't recognize is those are all incurring what you call transaction costs, okay? Those don't have to be separately disclosed.
Got it. So basically, at the end of the day, you've got 1% to the advisor, another 1.25% to the fund. So that's, gosh, like 2.25%.
Sure.
So if they're $600,000, gosh, that's like, if I'm doing the math in my head, $12,000, $13,000, maybe $15,000 in annual fees.
That's right. But
So-
it gets worse, Mike.
Why?
Well, those hidden costs I was telling you about, those transaction costs that don't have to be separated, Barron's had done a study in 2013, and where the average expense ratio was 1.19%, they found that the corresponding hidden costs were 1.44.
So that may have even been more than that.
That's right.
So at the end of the day, you've got a couple here. They're paying at least $15,000. They think they're paying $5,000.
That's right.
Does that happen frequently?
Very frequently.
Wow. And folks, I'm telling you what, as you're sitting home watching this and you're hearing Larry talk about this, you gotta ask yourself, what are you paying on your portfolio? Now, look, it's fair to pay something. I mean, people don't work for free, right? I mean, there's no problem paying something. Sure. But don't you think it's fair that, Larry, that someone should at least know what they're paying?
Yes.
Yeah, and I'll tell you what, if folks, when you come in, I know, Larry, if they visit with you, as I understand it, one of the services you provide is you will tell them, when you give them a second opinion, you will tell them exactly what they're paying what they are paying to all of their advisors, their funds, everything, right?
That's right, Mike.
Okay, so folks, I'll tell you what, that's a great reason to at least pick up the phone and call and get that second opinion. So Larry, that's a great discussion. Really appreciate you being here.
Thanks, Mike.
All right.